Come on. Come on.
Don't be nervous.
60%.
Just chilling.
Oh, get there.
60%. All right, we're live. Hey, Mark, I love it when you do the countdown, man.
In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Greetings, citizens! You're now trapped in the nerd cage with your hosts Mark and Jay. We hope you have a smashing good time.
Yes, hello and welcome. That's right, you're trapped in NerdCage Live. This ain't just a reaction show, but a debate show and a live discussion on everything that makes people like you and I tick. So thank you for joining us tonight on this Thursday night live stream. Yes! I am your co-host, Jay St. G, coming to you live from Syracuse, New York. And always with me, my man, The Fiend, from Louisville, Mark Withers. What's shaking, man?
Hey, what's going on, man? Super excited to be here as usual. Got my brand new backdrop set designed by Cindy Withers, my beautiful wife. Thank you so much for helping me out with that. And before we even get started, I just want to remind everybody that we have a special guest coming on August 20th at 8 p.m. It's Daniel Pesina. If you don't know who he is, he's the original Sub-Zero, original Johnny Cage, Scorpion, Reptile from the Mortal Kombat video game. And we're super hyped to have him. We got a lot of questions for him, so make sure that you tune in Thursday, August 20th, 8 p.m. But before that, as in tonight, as in right now, we have a very special guest as well. One of my very good friends, one of my oldest friends from Chicago, from my time in Chicago. He has his own podcast called Off the Beaten Podcast, which is phenomenal. And, just want to introduce him. He's Dion McGIll. Dion, what's up, man?
What's going on, brother? Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited. I'm just sitting here dancing. I'm like, what's going on? What are we doing next? Let's do it.
Dude, thanks for coming on short notice.
Right.
Whatever, bro. You could have called me like 10 minutes ago. I'm like, yo, you want to come on? I'm like, yep.
Well, you are our very first guest, man. So we are really glad to have you,
NerdCage history right here in the making. You're the first. Historically speaking, you're the first guest ever.
That's it.
They'll never forget me. They'll be like, he sucked. But they'll still be talking about me.
Popping the cherry. Popping the NerdCage cherry.
So just starting right off, just kind of if you could let people at home know, what your podcast is about. I'm personally a subscriber. I listen to all your stuff. I was listening to an episode today that was killer. But yeah, for people that don't know, just tell them, a little bit about your podcast, what's it about.
Absolutely. So Off the Beaten Podcast, it started just kind of as a reaction to something I was actually listening to when I was in the news. It was the president, and he was bad-mouthing Chicago. And I was like, look, this is kind of what you always hear, people bad-mouthing Chicago. But you've been here. It's such a beautiful city.
Yes, it is.
So much cool stuff and beautiful people. And I was like, and so, I'm in love with this city. I've lived in Alaska. I've been in the Middle East a little bit, but I keep coming back. So the show is just really about the city and its people. That's kind of, it's so general that people are like, oh, and what else? I'm like, that's it. Let's just talk about that for a couple years, because there's so much about the city that you'll never hear. So many people you'll never see, for one reason or another, So the point was really to try to just talk to the people mostly. So most episodes are with another person, and whether it's, I have a friend who runs a pen company, and he actually just opened a cafe too, which is really funny. It's called Side Job Cafe, and so his whole thing is trying to help people in their side hustles. So, just characters like that. And So it's a progress, and it's it's slowly building and slowly evolving, but it's always going to be centered around Chicago and the people here.
Right. And I love that. What I really like about it too is that there's like a good balance between, stuff that's very positive and very open, and then stuff that's like also very serious. And, you get topical sometimes. I saw, I listened to one of your episodes that was about, the George Floyd murder and the the protests, and I believe you were down there during the Chicago protests downtown, and kind of gave us a live play-by-play, and I just think that we need more stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like, we need more stuff that's just overall just balanced, but at the same time is positive and hopeful and shows like the good side of of how people can be. So I for one, I'm a fan. I just want to let you know that.
Oh, thank you so much, brother. Thank you so much.
Yes.
It's funny because the show was ultimately truly inspired by two people. One was Joe Rogan, whom I actually don't even listen to anymore.
Right.
The other was Wes Watson, if you know who Wes Watson is.
I'm not familiar with him.
Neither am
Wes
I.
Watson is this YouTube dude. I love Wes Watson. I'll turn on people at work, and I work in a hospital. This dude is a formerly incarcerated person who's super motivational, but he's motivational in a very horrifying way. He'll tell you these weird stories from being in solitary confinement for 3 years, and he's like, if you can't handle that, stay out of prison. And I'm like, okay, I'll stay out of prison.
Wow.
But he's always telling people to stay on a positive path and live your dream or whatever. So for me, it was just like one day I was listening to him, and I remember saying, you know what, next week, unless you fall dead, you're going to record and you're going to do this. And so from there, just trying to pick people who just identify Chicago, and so that's just been it, and I'm loving it. And you were on it, and so
yeah,
Yes.
we had a blast, man. That was like the most fun hour that I've had.
Yeah, you were the first non-Chicago and I was so nervous about that. But then I was like, I like the topic, which we talked about Superman, so
Right.
kind of related to what you guys do here. But I was like, you know what, he's lived here, so he can talk about Chicago, and we'll roll with it. Right. I'll always be the link, and so I appreciated that so much.
Right on. So what's your favorite episode that you've done so far?
Oh, I can't. You know what? One, because even making it, I was super nervous doing it, and even listening to it now, it'll occasionally make me cry. Was the Veterans Day episode, which was really weird because it was just me kind of reflecting on my time as a veteran. And I have this weird thing with the King Henry St. Crispin's Day speech, if you're familiar with that.
Yeah.
And I remember hearing it once when I was deployed, and for whatever reason, it's completely lashed in my brain. So I included that. Now I think that was might even the first time I ever used music in the podcast. I played some background music and kind of got a little emotional. And listening to it now, I'll listen to it and I'll be like, oh, okay, all right, So I think that to me was one of my favorite episodes.
Awesome.
Nice. Dude, thank you for serving our country, man, by the way.
I just stood around. I ain't do nothing.
Still, it takes guts, man. And I love the city of Chicago. Chicago's like home away from home, man. I first arrived. Actually, I got my Lollapalooza shirt on today. I went to Lollapalooza in 2010 with Lady Gaga and Soundgarden. Oh my God, it was a blast. And then I came back a few years later for Chicago Open Air, and then I was just there last year for G-Fest, which is the Godzilla convention that's held in Chicago every year. Dude, I love Chicago. It's home away from home. I love that deep dish pizza. I love the Chicago dogs, man.
Dude, you gotta come next year.
I will. I'm planning on booking G-Fest next year. I'm coming next year. I was supposed to be there this year, but they canceled, and after everything that's going on,
pandemic.
I stayed away.
I don't know if it's I know it's up your alley, Mark, but Riot Fest.
Oh yes,
is gonna be off. They already announced half the bands
for next year.
It's gonna be 4 days instead of 3. Dude,
is that gonna be in Grant Park?
No, it's in Davis Park. It's on the west side of the city now.
Okay. Because Lollapalooza was in Grant Park, so.
Yeah, it's a hot mess. I actually bartended at Lollapalooza 2 years ago, and that's the only time I've ever been there.
What was that like?
Oh my God, it's crazy. But bartending at festivals is so much fun. I've done it with a buddy of mine who runs like a staffing company for the past couple of years. It's basically just flirting with people for money.
Right.
Until like, day 3, people get a little trashy and it gets a little crazy. Lollapalooza, because we always do the EDM stage. So it's just
okay, yeah.
Doom, doom.
Yeah, there's like 6 stages. I mean, the year I went, there was like 6 or 7 stages, man. It's nuts there.
There's so many. And it's actually, I think the Perry stage is just straight EDM. It's hardcore. So it's a good time though.
Right on.
Yeah, Galloping Ghost Arcade.
Never been there.
What?
Never. Here's the issue. I grew up on the south side of the city.
Yeah.
And I'll give you a perfect example. So everyone talks about.
So
the
you're a
West
Sox
Side.
guy.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. We got that out of the way. Got that out of the way.
and like growing up, people told me never go to the West Side. Right. And so I didn't go to the West Side until I was like in my late 20s. And so there's so many places like Galloping Ghost I'd never been, just because like my mom would be like, don't leave the South Side.
For those who don't know, Galloping Ghost Arcade is the biggest arcade in the country. One of the last remaining arcades in the country. Up in the north side of Chicago. Fantastic place. If you're ever in Chicago, that I recommend is one of the first places you got to go to.
Yes. And I got to make it there. I think I learned about it 3 years ago, and I still have never been. And now I'm like, well, obviously pandemic.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, I lived there like 9 years, and this is the first time I've even heard of it. So
okay, I'm a gaming nerd, so like it was like on my to-do list when I went to G-Fest last year over at the O'Hare, and I swung over there.
How long did you spend there? Like, how long were you there?
At Galloping Ghost?
Yeah.
I made the mistake. I went the day I left was the day I went there, and I figured, okay, if I go for like 3 hours, that should be enough time. No. So I was there for 3 hours, and I had to go. I had to catch my train back to Syracuse, and I'm like, shoot. So next time in Chicago, I need a whole night to do Galloping Ghost Arcade. 3 hours wasn't enough.
I've heard stories. That's why I asked. I think so, because they're like pinball rooms.
Yes, they have a separate pinball room. So they have 2 buildings: the pinball room and the arcade room. So you pay $20 to play anything in the arcade. Pay $30 to play both rooms for $30 all day, any game.
I'm sorry. That to me is so hilarious that it's just like there's a pinball room.
Well, yeah. They got like all the old pinball machines. Like I didn't even get the chance to like walk through there because I was so caught up in all the old arcade games. Like I was playing like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the X-Men. God, they even had the Punisher machine. They had the Terminator 2 machine, and oh my God, like all the Mortal Kombats, obviously. And oh my God, dude, it was not enough time, and I got hooked. And they even had like old machines from the 80s that are barely working, but they're working. There's games I never even heard of that from like before I was born. Like, oh my God. So yes, Galloping Ghost Arcade is a must.
Yes.
Have to check it out.
And I also went to the zoo out there with is it the Lincoln Park Zoo or the
Brookfield?
Yeah, I went there too. That was a good time as well.
Very cool.
Oh yeah, I just love the city, and I just love the pizza, man. Is it Giordano?
Yes,
that's my favorite. That is my favorite. I love it there. Every time I go there, it's like my go-to place. Best deep dish. Dude, listen, I'm a proud New Yorker and I like my thin crust, but that shit changed my life. So now when I eat like New York pizza, I gotta take 2 slices and stack them up and eat it like it's a deep dish.
Yes.
Yeah, we respect that.
Next time you're here, you got to go to Beggars. So my favorite is Beggars.
Beggars, yeah.
Oh, okay. I had Pequods. And I also, my buddy Rick.
Southside institution.
Pequods is another place I had.
Pequods is hot.
Pequods is good.
Pequods is hot.
Is that still around?
Oh, yeah.
Really?
It was there last year,
Okay, Pequods is still there. I mean, after this, we'll see. But I'm sure, because they are so popular. That's one of those places I'm sure they'll
they're not going anywhere.
Nah, they'll survive.
Yo, we got 16 people in here right now. Everybody, what city, what state you're from? Let us know, man. NerdCage Live is worldwide right now. Come on.
So I just saw someone mention Billy Corrigan. The first time I ever went to see the UFC here in Chicago, I'm a huge UFC fan. Billy Corrigan was there. He was sitting like right in front of me, like maybe 5 rows ahead of me, right in front of me. I've never seen him. I didn't realize how big he is. That
big?
Is huge.
Really? He looks like a little guy.
Oh no, he's tall.
Wow.
He's tall and he's been in the gym too. Like when I was like, someone's like, that's Billy Corrigan. I was like, Right. He's not like a little dude. They're like, no, he's like 6'1". He's big. He's big.
What?
Dude. Yeah.
Yeah, that's news to me. Like, yeah.
At least, or maybe I was just like starry-eyed and he looked.
People do look bigger in real life. Like famous people, for some reason, they do
he
look like
every bit of 7 feet, but he's actually 5'4".
Right.
Same thing when I met Jada Pinkett. So you remember when Jada Pinkett?
Wow.
Oh yeah.
Tell us about Jada,
Wicked
please.
Wisdom. Yeah.
Oh my God! I went the Pearl Room. I don't know if you remember the Pearl Room, Mark.
Yep.
Went there. They did a signing before the show. It was her in this moment. Maybe Nonpoint was the headliner. Nonpoint and Seven Dust.
Yeah.
Oh, and she's super short, but she had on heels. She had this huge afro. And it was me and Lance. And I said, Lance, act right, bro. Act right. And he gets up there playing it all cool. He's like, yeah. He goes, can I get a hug? I'm like, dude. So she gives him a hug. Then I'm like,
wow.
Now the dam has been broken.
Yeah. He was your in. You all great debt.
And she was divine, beautiful, and so sweet. Oh my God. I actually posted a video of hers the other day. I'm like, everybody talking about her entanglements. I want her to hit the mic again. Let's do this.
Right.
There we go. Yo, I gotta ask you. So obviously you were around, during the Hill Bulls dynasty. Did you ever come across Jordan or Dennis Rodman or any of those guys being in Chicago?
No. The only time I maybe saw Michael Jordan. When I was a kid, I used to walk to school. And so Juanita, long before she was his wife, lived in the same neighborhood as me.
Oh, wow.
So when he would spend the night because his car would be sitting outside. And we'd always be like, he had a red Corvette that had his number on the license plate. Right. And we'd always be like, that's Michael Jordan's car. And
taking selfies before they were cool.
Bunch of little stalkers. And one morning, I saw this big dude. I'm like, that's gotta be him. I'm literally like 8 years old. That's gotta be him. And so it might have been, it might not have been. And that's the only time I've ever seen Michael Jordan.
No, because I heard Dennis Rodman still lives in Chicago from time to time, still hangs out down there, right?
I don't know. The only person famous I've seen as of late is Ed Lover. Ed Lover still lives here.
Okay.
Really?
He has a radio show. If you remember Ed Lover, right? Everyone's like Ed Lover. Who?
And John C. Reilly still lives in Chi-Town, right?
Yeah, I think so. I think he still lives here.
Yeah, I've heard that.
What about Bill Murray? Does he still live there?
Ooh. I don't know. I've never seen him.
Because when I used to live there, like I never met him or anything. Like I never walked up to him and said what's up. But sometimes like I would go to like different bars and stuff, and he would just be there.
Yeah.
Like he would just be like at a table in the back, and and people would be like, "That's Bill Murray over there."
I've heard that. Yeah, absolutely, yeah. I've heard that. Yeah.
Just randomly. So yeah, I was just curious if he was.
How
still
old
around.
is he now? He's like 80.
No clue.
He's gotta be like
he's
70.
He's got to be up there.
He's got to be like 70, right?
70.
At least.
Yeah.
Oh,
well,
man.
I can look it up.
If I saw that dude in the street, I wouldn't know how to act. I would be like, I get starstruck at the weirdest people. Like I'll see someone like you think I would get all weirded out, and I'm just kind of like, and then I see like, someone else. Like I saw news reporter. I wish I could. His not Dan Rather, Bill Curtis. If Mark, if you remember Bill Curtis. Yep. I saw him and I almost humped his leg. I was so excited. He's like this 75-year-old news reporter. He was looking at me like he was excited, but I was just like, oh my God. And he was like, whoa, kid.
Yeah.
Oh, I got a question, man. So I'm a big '90s kid, and I know we're going a little off topic, but Home Alone was like one of my favorite Christmas movie ever. Have you seen the Home Alone house?
Nope.
Oh man.
I already know what you're gonna ask. I've seen the houses from Shameless, but I've never seen the Home Alone house.
Okay.
Because those are over on the west side. I had a friend who came in town, and she made me chauffeur her to all these different houses from like locations from the show. And I was like, why? What? She'd hop out, take pictures, and I'm like, I wouldn't stand out there too long if I were you. Like, it's getting dark and get a little weird around here. But
what part of town do they shoot that in? Because I was guessing like Brownsville area, somewhere around there.
No, it's over in Austin.
Is it? Okay.
Different locations in Austin, which is whenever someone talks about the West Side, they're actually talking about Austin.
Right.
And so, real, authentic locations too, if you're looking at like a financially depressed area, because that's, unfortunately Chicago is very much like that. There's areas that are just like just the city kind of closed the door on. It was like, we'll see you guys in 20 years. And Austin is one of those locations. So
yeah, and the weird thing about, I mean, I don't know if it's still like that, but when I was living there, it was like literally like you could be in a nice neighborhood and walk 2 blocks, and it's a vastly different neighborhood. Like, you know what I mean? Like poverty lines literally like across the street.
Yes, that has not necessarily changed.
Yeah.
I love my city, but the city doesn't rank. I mean, let's just be real. It just rank stuff. You know?
Yeah.
We're working through our problems.
Right. So as you know, like we focus, we're called the NerdCage, but we focus a lot on like movies and TV. We're big cinephiles, right? So, like that kind of led me to like think about like, what are some of your favorite movies and favorite like TV shows? Like if you had to like pick a favorite movie, what would that be?
You know what? My absolute 100% favorite movie is Dan in Real Life, which is like I think the strangest. Half people have never seen it. It's such a strange pick, but it's got Steve Carell, and it's a rom-com. It's totally cheesy. It's very similar to my personality. Right. I'm single. And I'm like eternally single, always looking for love, never quite gonna find it. So like, I watch that movie and I'm always like, I'm not crying, you're crying. that's dust in my eye. Right. And for TV show, my actually absolute favorite TV show is the exact same thing, and that's actually How I Met Your Mother.
Okay.
Have you ever seen that? Like, this weird dude who's always trying to look for love. He's never quite gonna find it.
Right.
I'm sitting there like, I'm not crying, you're crying. Same thing.
Neil Patrick Harris.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah, this is like his best role.
Best role ever. Yes.
God.
One of
my favorite Neil Patrick Harris movies, man. That movie he did with Ben Affleck, Gone Girl. Oh my God, that was a terrible way for him to die. Just saying. Oh my God.
Yes, that's good stuff. And right now, I'm told I just finished season 2 of Umbrella Academy.
Would you?
Oh my God, that's what I wanted to talk to you guys. I haven't seen it.
No spoilers.
No spoilers. We got a lot of people in here that haven't seen it.
I haven't seen it.
I'm ordering the comic books because I gotta read. It's like it was so good. I gotta go back to the source material and read it just so I can see. And amazing. I loved all of it. I was surprised how good it was, and like, it's hard. I think in just general to like have twists and surprise people. When you're talking about, and there were still things that were surprising, and I was like,
yeah,
it's 2:00 in the morning, but one more episode.
Right? Yeah, just one more.
Yo, Dion, I got one for you, man, because I saw you in the chat last week. Have you watched The Boys yet? I've been pulling your leg.
No. It's funny because every time I've been seeing commercials on YouTube for it, and I'm like, and I just haven't done it yet.
You have plenty of time. We have till September 4th when the second season launches, so there is time. You have a month.
That's perfect. Okay.
And there's only 8 episodes, man.
You can watch the whole thing in easily like a day and a half.
Okay. Because I gotta check it. I don't even know what it's about, and I'm just like, I'm gonna check it out.
Okay, and I got another question for you because I see some people in the chat here. One of my boys, Adam from Scry. I wanted to ask you now: are you a kaiju fan at all? Godzilla, King Kong, stuff like that.
Oh, not like yes. Now,
yes, you're one of us.
Definitely. Definitely. Not like growing up, really. Like I remember, that's actually on Netflix now. Ultraman.
Yeah.
The original Ultraman.
Yeah. Big Japanese show. Yeah.
I love that show. But yeah, absolutely. So excited because there's a new Godzilla movie coming out, right?
Yes, it's been postponed the next year, but yeah, Godzilla vs. Kong, basically the remake, is pushed back to May 2021.
And because I'm trying to think which one. That's the original King Kong. Is that the one in claymation stop motion?
Yeah. The original King Kong from 1933 was stop motion, and they used giant props as well, robotic props as well too.
This one's gonna look better. It'll be fine.
Yeah. No,
did you see? Seen it yet.
There's a movie called Kong Skull Island, which is basically. Did you see that one?
I actually saw that in the theater. Absolutely.
Oh, okay, yeah. So that same Kong is gonna square up against Godzilla in the MonsterVerse. So,
I'm so excited.
Yeah, same here.
So excited. So that should be good. Yeah. I'm
# Team Kong. I'm with Team Kong. I'm a diehard Godzilla fan, but I've seen Godzilla win so many times. I let Kong have this one.
And that's the guy, the last Godzilla movie, so that version of Godzilla, right?
Yes.
Oh,
yep.
Yeah, that should just look so. If they do it well, that should look so good.
Yeah. No, yeah,
So
we're all looking forward to it. The movie's been postponed like 3 times already, so it's like, ugh. Speaking of postponement, I don't mean to go off topic, man, but it's just too big of a topic for us to not talk about. But Mulan, I don't know if Dion, if you heard about Mulan, it's going to be coming to Disney Plus for $30 September 4th. So yeah, we got to talk about it.
Yeah, I feel all kinds of ways about it. We could talk about this for the entire episode, but we won't, you know? So yeah, just for my 2 cents, like when you first, I think you were the first person to like kind of hit me with that news. And my initial reaction was, oh, that's a great idea, right? You know, put it on like a PVOD platform. And then, you know, if people don't have Disney Plus, that entices them to get it. And then, you know, they pay the $30 or whatever, and then they can see Mulan. What I didn't understand is that even if you already have Disney Plus, you also have to pay the $30. And so that made me, while that doesn't upset me personally, like I wouldn't mind paying this extra $30 to watch it, the internet is not happy.
Yeah.
No one is happy about this, you know?
Yeah.
You know, and it's I understand it's like a difficult situation for Disney to be in because, you know, according to, I think I read this in Forbes, like they had like a big shareholders meeting, and then they, like, it was kind of revealed in this meeting that they've lost about $3.5 billion since this pandemic has started.
Yeah.
Because they can't release anything, you know? And so they're kind of using this as sort of the canary in the coal mine to see if like this kind of platform, you know, this kind of strategy will work until they can get some theaters, you know, get theaters open and go back to a normal thing. So even though Chapek is saying, Bob Chapek is the current CEO, even though he is saying that it's like a one-time thing, it's pretty obvious they're just like trying to figure it out. They're trying to use this movie.
What if it works?
If it works, great.
Like,
you know
let's just do some basic math here. You take, okay, so you got 60 million subscribers of Disney Plus.
Right.
Let's just say 20 million of those, 1/3 of those ends up getting Mulan for $30. That, if I'm doing the math right, that's $600 million, right?
I don't know.
So I'm just saying, like that, isn't it, to put up $600 million streaming? That's gonna that's a good turnaround. That's a really good turnaround.
Well, assuming that math is correct, right? But I don't know if it is or not. And you know, it costs them, I think, between 200 and 250.
Yeah, but even then, if $200 million and you have a $600 million turnaround without going to theaters, that's pretty. That's still a 1 to 3, 3 times its budget. I mean, that's a victory. If they can get 1/3 of their subscribers to rent the damn movie, that's a huge win. That's a huge win.
It's a tall order, though.
It is a tall order, but
you gotta think about the fact that people that already have Disney Plus are offended by the fact that they are being asked to pay an additional $30 for a movie that they could wait 90 days and then not have to pay that. You know what I mean? So, you know what I mean? I think we'd be having a different conversation about it if it was on a normal PVOD platform. Like if it was on Amazon for $30. No one would be upset about that.
Well, everyone's going to watch it. Like, the thing is, like, I think other studios like Warner Brothers and everyone else, they're probably going to watch, okay, let's see how this goes. If they turn around and make a profit, maybe we'll start seeing other movies from other studios do the same thing. Who knows? But if it flops, everyone's going to wait to the theaters till like next year.
Right. I don't think it's going to flop. I think the more reasonable the more reasonable assumption is it'll probably break even, right? Because I think it only needs maybe 300 million or 350 million to break even.
Yeah.
Right. So that means if you got 1 out of 5 subscribers or 1 out of 6 subscribers, you could make that work, right?
Yeah.
But the problem is that the backlash is so severe that it's unlikely that that's going to happen. right? Like that price point makes sense for someone who has like a big family, right? Like if you have kids and you're used to taking your kids to these kind of movies, you know, you're going to spend a lot more going to each movie, right? Versus just paying this one time $30, and then you have the rewatchability factor. You don't have to pay for it again. But if you're like a single person, if it's just you and you're just used to paying, you know, $10, or if you have like a movie pass or something like that, where you know what I mean, you're not really paying like, you know, a whole lot to see these films, and all of a sudden you're being asked to pay $30 when you already have a service where you feel like you should be rewarded for having the service. You know, like to me, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
I was shocked. I'm not gonna lie to you. I was shocked.
Yeah. It's you know, I see both sides of it, because, you know, there's that argument, but then the other argument, you know, the other side of it is that Disney needs to do something to sort of make up for this, you know, lost revenue. And if they just put it on Disney Plus, they're definitely not going to make any money off this thing. It's not, they don't have enough subscribers to justify that. So they have to actually make this sort of like a premium, you know, a premium release, I guess they're calling it.
All right. Dion, what do you got, man?
I'm not paying. I'm not. What? Because they've pushed back some other releases too, though, right?
Yes.
Because there are some other releases of theirs I would pony up money for, right?
Sure.
And I understand in the spirit that they didn't want to charge for Hamilton. Like, I think that would have been a perfect, right? I would have paid for that. Sure. Just so I could saw it again, right? I'm like, wow, $30? All right, $300 with the ticket, I'm in. I personally wouldn't pay for Mulan. I'd wait, you know. But there's some other things that I've heard, you know, that they've either delayed or pushed back that I definitely would. Just, you know, in hearing like, oh, they canceled that. All right, I would have paid money for that. You know, it's kind of my thought. So
yeah, I also heard. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. No, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, another thing, too, I'm hearing another buzz no one's talking about right now, what I heard from another YouTube channel, is that it looks like the MCU shows, they're going to split them up now. Instead of having one big season, they're going to split it up, do a half season, and then take the other half and take a huge break. You know, so they're not going to release them all at once now. They're going to split up to keep the content flowing. They're going to split up the MCU shows now.
Yeah.
Instead of making more shows, they're just gonna. You know, it's
they can't film.
I don't know.
So.
Yeah.
And, you know, and I can appreciate the fact that, you know, because I think a lot of times, especially myself, I badmouth corporations all the time, you know, but I understand you got to make money because they have a long row of people with their hands out. You know, their payroll is rolling.
Yep.
So I can appreciate the fact that if they, you know, want to put out something, and if I am interested in it, okay, $15. All right, I'll kick. You know, sometimes I do that now to different places just to, you know, so I can support. Show, you know, here's some money just to show you I appreciate you and appreciate what you're doing. So I think it just for me depends on the content, and Mulan particularly, I'm not kicking in for it.
Okay, so maybe like something like a Black Widow, New Mutants.
Yes. All my money.
Disney, take my money.
Take it all. Yeah, for sure. I would definitely, you know, because I don't know how you guys feel. I think that we're at least another year into this. It's like this variation of life. My personal belief is going to go at least till next January. You know, not this one, next one. Yeah. So, you know, if they want to start putting out some of those movies they filmed, or, you know, if they can finagle to finish them and start putting those out, yeah, I will kick in $30 to see anything, right? You know, MCU obviously, because that, you know, everyone's back and half the people are dead. Let's keep moving. So for sure.
Okay, so I figured that way we can kind of segue into our next rage debate. So before we get to our rage debate, and I can clue you guys in right now. So Mark, the time you were in Chicago, you were an extra on The Dark Knight.
Yes.
So Dion, were you involved in that at all?
Nah, you don't want to see me on camera.
Well, Mark,
we're seeing you on camera right now.
He's right. You don't want to see me on camera.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, you didn't see me on camera either, so it's like a flash, like, you know what I mean? Like there's a scene where everybody gets evacuated from the hospital that the Joker is threatening to blow up.
Oh yeah.
And so if
That's
you
one of the best scenes.
frame by frame by frame, you might see like my shoe or something. You know what I mean?
Oh, that's
like,
awesome. a shoe. Here's a shoe. So just really quickly, right after I got back from Afghanistan, they were filming Transformers here in Chicago, and I had no idea they were filming Transformers here in Chicago. And me and my friend are downtown walking on Michigan Avenue heading towards Wacker, which is this huge intersection, and it overlooks the river. And they started filming a scene where, you know, in the movie, the robots are fighting on the buildings and the army's shooting all their guns. All these explosions start going off, and I literally almost dive under a bus. Like, I'm just like dive and slide on the sidewalk, and I'm like, oh my God.
Oh, no.
And my friend is like, oh, this is not happening.
Hey, you're just preparing for a kaiju attack. That's what you're doing. If a kaiju attack hits Chicago, you're prepared.
I was so mortified. I'm like, we're going home now.
Wow.
But it happens.
Yep.
So Mark, yeah, go ahead, dude.
No. Like I was saying, so you were saying about the rage debate?
Well, yeah.
Rage
So, like I said, I was just implying, you know, like I said, you were on an extra on The Dark Knight, and you actually met the late and great Heath Ledger.
Yes, I did.
Ooh.
Yeah. So
just tell us how that was like.
It was awesome. So one of the scenes that got cut from the film. So the scene that I'm an extra in was originally supposed to be that, you know, the Joker calls in this bomb threat into the hospital. The hospital gets evacuated. Everybody gets herded onto these different buses, and then it turns out that there's a bomb on one of the buses, and Batman has to find out which one it is, right? So there are all these Joker lookalikes that are, you know, people that are dressed up like him with the makeup and everything like that, and each one is the driver of one of these buses. So the one that's the closest to a trailer, me and a friend of mine just happened to be, not a friend of mine, I shouldn't say, but like another extra, we just happened to be standing there kind of like waiting and just kind of just randomly talking like, oh, it would be cool if like Heath Ledger just happened to be on the bus that like we end up on. Wow. And as soon as that was said, this door flies open and out he walks. And, you know, he's just like, what's up, guys? And we got to talk to him for a minute and stuff like that. And then Christopher Nolan came up. He had a cigarette in his hand. So Christopher Nolan just happened to like see that and then runs over and was like, no, you can't smoke here because there were explosives there.
Oh no.
Yeah, there was like C4 there. So he was like, put that out like right now. Like started yelling at him. So yeah.
Woo, the stories you don't hear.
Right. Oh, that's awesome.
Okay, so Mark, that being said, because of your experience on The Dark Knight and your experience with Heath, is it safe to say that Heath Ledger is the best on-screen live-action Joker?
With or without that experience, he is absolutely the best Joker.
Listen, I mean no disrespect. I loved everything about that performance. Dark Knight is probably my favorite comic book movie, and I had such an experience going to see that. And hearing your Chicago story is really freaking awesome. And Dion, I cannot wait to get your pick in. But I just I'm sorry, no disrespect to Ledger, but I gotta go with Phoenix is my favorite Joker. That being said, we're going to the cage, and Dion, you're gonna kind of like be the tiebreaker. So let's go, Rage in the Cage. Here we go.
Let's do it.
Okay, ladies and gents, it's time for Rage in the Cage.
Finish him.
So strap in and join the fight in the comments below. Pick a side, Team Mark or Team J. Who will it be?
I must break it.
here we go. Yes, the next round of Rage in the Cage, Ledger versus Phoenix. I guess I'll start.
Yeah, I need you to start.
Okay, listen. The main difference here, listen, it may be the same character, but they're both different versions, completely different versions of the Joker. But this is where I give credit to Phoenix, okay? What the Dark Knight failed to do, I won't call it failed to do, we didn't see the background story. We didn't see the true background story and origin story of his version of the Joker. But with Phoenix's movie, we did. And we got to see the man become the Joker. It took one bad day, and we saw this man we saw a broken man, an abused man. Now keep in mind, Phoenix has, growing up, suffered child abuse, and that's why I knew he was going to be great at this role. And I just felt like just watching this man go from point A to point B and everything that happened, it was fascinating. I just feel like, to me, that was the best performance you could have gotten from a Joker movie. That's my opening argument. Mark, or Dion, you got any points you want to add or any takeaways from that?
No, I'm gonna go ahead and let Mark go, and I'll because I love listening to you guys.
Okay.
I'm a fan.
All right. This is gonna be a hard one because I don't disagree with anything that you said. I absolutely loved Joaquin Phoenix's performance in Joker. I saw it multiple times. It's definitely up there as far as like top performances, but I gotta go with Heath Ledger, man. Like, and all of the things that you pointed out they also serve as my counterpoints, right? So like, let's start with the fact that in Joker, we get a backstory, right? We find out who he is, what his name is, what his past was like, how he evolves into this character, right? All good things in one sense, but in another sense, all of the things that make the Joker are based around the fact that you don't know who he is, and you don't have and you don't get his identity. You don't know what makes him tick, right? And Ledger's version gives you that. When he's actually in the police station and they're trying to figure out who he is. No prints, custom clothes, no background.
I love that scene.
You have no clue who he is. You have no clue how to deal with him. And there's something menacing about that. He doesn't even have to be physically menacing for you to actually be a little bit afraid of him. And then at the same time, there's a weird kind of charm about the way that he played the Joker. Yeah. Where it's like, this is a scary guy, but I would probably hang out with this dude.
I know you would. You did. You did though.
Right. For a minute. So that's one point. And then the other point is the fact that Joaquin Phoenix turned out a fantastic performance, but he had a history of turning these great performances out. Right? We knew that we could expect something fantastic from him. With Heath Ledger, nobody expected that. Yeah. No. If anybody that is watching right now that remembers this time,
the backlash.
The backlash was severe. Everybody was like, dude, the Brokeback Mountain guy, the guy from, like the guy from 10 Things I Hate About You, that's who you're going to cast as the Joker. Oh my God, this is going to suck. It's going to be terrible. And then you go to see it and you're just like, what did I just watch? Yeah. It was just this incredible, it was just this incredible performance that came out of nowhere. And he did his version of the Joker. He didn't base it off of anybody else's version. He barely laughed. You know what I mean? It was something that he I think he based it off of Tom Waits.
That's what I was gonna say. He did. It wasn't his original idea. He did base it off of another, of another actor from the 20s or whatever, or the 30s or whatever. Yeah.
Well, Tom Waits is a singer. Tom Waits is actually I don't know how you would categorize his music, but he's like a singer from the 70s and 80s.
Okay.
And I think he's still active. But the way that he talks and his demeanor and things like that, he was basically doing an impression of Tom Waits, and he kind of added his own like mannerisms to it to sort of make himself into this version of the Joker.
Okay.
So the creativity that came from that, to me, is unmatched. I don't think that I don't know if there'll ever be another version of the Joker that'll be that impressive to me, and that's my opening.
Okay, I'm gonna counterpunch you, man. So the one I'm gonna point out right now. Phoenix sacrificed his health and his body for the role. He was dangerously freaking skinny. It was gross. He ate one apple a day to shred all that weight to look nasty like that. Okay, the amount of work he put in to prepare is just unheard of. And that's just going to be my other thing is Ledger, from what I understand, he stayed up through the night, like didn't sleep the previous night before shooting to act the way he did, and his eyes getting drilly and in his mannerisms. But what Phoenix had to do for the role was a lot more excruciating.
And you could make that argument, yes, but it doesn't mean that Ledger didn't also sacrifice and do things to sort of develop his version of the character. I mean, this guy was the original quarantiner, right? He locked himself in a hotel room and wouldn't let anybody in, didn't talk to anybody for weeks until he could figure out like exactly who this version of the Joker was going to be. You know what I mean? And yeah, like he didn't sacrifice his diet or anything like that, but certainly sacrificed a piece of his sanity, because I don't think that I could do anything like that. So that's my counterpunch.
Okay, I see the chat here, Mr. Scott Bannock. I see Heath sacrificed his life, not necessarily because he was done with the role by the time he passed away. It wasn't the Dark Knight wasn't the reason why he passed away. So let's get that. I just want to get that out there.
Can we agree Jared was the worst? Yes, I think we can.
Now listen, in the defense of Jared, I didn't think. Okay, yes, he's my least favorite, but I just don't think we really got enough to really justify. So I'm not. But again, it wasn't a good movie. But I'm just saying, we didn't see enough. Now that's what going to be my next point. Is Heath Ledger, even though he won the Oscar, he was Best Supporting Actor, but Heath Ledger was only on screen for 7 minutes. Phoenix carried the whole movie. Yep.
Yeah, I can't really say anything about that.
Phoenix carried the movie.
But that doesn't mean that Ledger couldn't carry that movie.
No, I'm not saying that Ledger wasn't capable, but the thing is, there were so many moving parts in The Dark Knight. I did not like Christian Bale, but you had a great Commissioner Gordon. You had a great atmosphere. You had a lot of other great actors and moving parts. I feel like Heath Ledger was just one part of a cogwheel, like one cogwheel that made the movie work, whereas Heath Ledger is the centerpiece, the focal point of his Joker.
You mean Joaquin Phoenix? Yeah. You mean Joaquin Phoenix. So I get what you're saying there, but I don't know that I agree that there weren't other moving parts that like made that story work. I mean, you look at the relationship between him and Zazie Beetz, and then you look at and then you look at the interaction with his mom and with Thomas Wayne and with the young Bruce Wayne, and Robert De Niro's character, even, as small as that was, it was such a pivotal part of like who he was like aspiring to be. Right. Like, so I don't know that like you can really say that he carried that movie. Like he did a great performance, but like there were other actors in that turned in phenomenal performances that really helped that narrative, so my counterpoint to that, though, my counterpoint to your point is not so much that, but I'll say that the makeup for Ledger's Joker was far superior.
Yes. Yeah, because
far more inventive. Right. Far more inventive with the Chelsea grin, far more menacing. You know, there was something about how the eyeliner kind of was just messy and kind of goopy, and like it kind of lent itself to the personality that this Joker would have, which is like, I don't care about anything, you know. And I think that those little nuances kind of like add something without him having to really say what it is. Okay. You know, I think that also gives you some inkling, not really like, it doesn't really tell you who he is. It doesn't really tell you his backstory, but it opens the door for you to sort of come up with your own fan theories, if you will, about what might have happened to him.
There's a good fan theory out there, and it's been out there a while, is that Heath Ledger's version of the Joker was an Iraqi veteran.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
That's actually a pretty intriguing theory. I actually like that one.
That one makes a lot of sense to me too, especially like the conversation he has with Two-Face, you know, like as far as like, you know, like a bunch of soldiers get hit with an IED and like no one cares, you know, like just like,
and he's prepping the bombs, and he did Michael J. White, he, you know, made the pencil disappear. So it's a good theory that only a soldier trained to do that, you know, maneuver right there. I mean, you guys have martial arts background, like, you know that. So no, that's a good theory.
Even the bank robbery scene in the beginning.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like the strategy, like the, you know, like you could tell like that is somebody who has like leadership experience, that has like a sense of timing, that knows maps, that like that would have like all of those like characteristics of somebody who like had probably been in war.
Okay.
You know, so that theory makes a lot of sense to me. It's never been confirmed or anything like that, but that's what I'm talking about, is like, you don't have to actually know the story for that character to be interesting. And on a lot of levels, it makes that character more compelling.
Okay, I got a counterpunch to that. Okay, to what you just said, everything about the theories and stuff. Well, Phoenix's version, a lot of theories too. Did it really happen? Was it all in his head? Did he really lead the charge? Like, was he just in the mental house the whole time? Was he just telling the story? Did it really happen? So there's a lot that people still haven't figured it out yet. We haven't even gotten a true definitive answer. So again, there's the theories on that one too. So
yeah, you're right. I especially like, well, I can't really talk about this theory, and because it involves a spoiler. But but there's one that we'll talk about off camera.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. So Dion, you got to be the tiebreaker here. Like, tell us your thoughts.
Go ahead and do your thoughts, but I have one last argument. But Dion, go first. Okay. Dion, go first, and I'll have my closing.
So, just my thought is that they are both beautiful, masterful performances.
Yeah,
but for me, I gotta go with Mark. And I'll tell you why. And actually, a lot of what Mark said to me is actually based around one scene, and that's that real introductory scene when he's meeting the mobsters for the first time. And the development of that character becomes so. And I actually watched a video. So some of this is not my original thought, even because I don't know anything about movies. I don't know anything about writing. And
we don't either. we just like movies.
But the development of the character, because you don't know anything about him, but he slowly reveals these things, and like Mark said, it makes him super compelling. And a great example is that he comes in, right? He's in this room full of people who want to kill him. He's like, calm down. I'm in charge. Everything is cool. Let me tell you why you're getting punked, yada, yada. The minute that Michael J. White's character calls him crazy, that's the first time you see him like,
yes.
He's like, what? And he's like, wait, I'm not crazy. And so you're already seeing like, that's the one thing that bothers him. And then when it happens again later in the scene, he's like, I'm not crazy. And you start to see these things, the pencil trick. He has no regard for human life. And you start to see this onion being peeled of this character that you know nothing about, but you can just tell that he is out there, and he's dangerous, and he's vicious,
yes.
and he can handle himself. Right
okay.
on top of it, he can kick everyone's ass in the room anyway. Then he comes in with, and my favorite part is that then he's like, okay, things got out of hand. Let's just whip out a grenade. Because I'll kill myself too. I have no regard for my own life. It is what, and that to me, on top of the acting, on top of just the emotion, the tics, the licking of the lips, the flicking of the hair, all of it to me is just so masterful and so compelling that, like you're saying, he's only on the screen for 7 minutes. He could have been on the screen for a hot hour, and I would have been just riveted onto his character. Just, the subtle things, how he sits, how he moves, everything about it made this character so, to me, magical.
Yes.
And then the fact that I think Mark kind of comments on this too. You don't know where the scars come from.
Yeah.
And then
he gives two different scenarios.
He gives two different scenarios. You're like, well, what? That's not what you said before. Like, is he crazy? Like, is he like, does he even know himself? And to me, like, I remember getting to the end of that movie. Not even the end. The scene where he's in the car and he, the car's going and he's gone, and just being like the rest of the movie, I was like, where's he?
Right.
More Joker. Like, what happened? And then being so ready for another movie with that character.
Yeah.
And obviously that never, and that to me, that I remember that feeling leaving the theater was that I have to see the sequel and see more of that. And the fact that didn't happen,
it's unfortunate because there were plans. There were plans in the third movie, but unfortunately it didn't happen.
I could have done so much more of that.
I know. And The Dark Knight Rises, it's just,
it's hard.
I got problems with that movie, but that's another topic for another day. But The Dark Knight is the perfect quintessential comic book movie. I give that, but I have to say the best Joker to me is Phoenix. And I have one closing thing. Listen, I probably lost this because it's 2-on-1. I don't know what the audience says here, but listen, I have my one closing argument here. This is where I put Phoenix over the top. Okay. I'm sorry, there's some semi-spoiler warning. The scene where he reads the file, when he finds out what happened with his parents, that he finds out the truth about what happened to him. Right. It's one of the most gut-wrenching scenes I've ever seen in my life. My stomach dropped. I couldn't bear it. It was the topics, what they talked about, and what really happened to that character. It was riveting. It killed me to watch it. It still kills me to watch that scene. It really does. And to see his uncontrollable laugh. They made it. His laugh is like Tourette syndrome. When he's feeling pain, he's laughing. He was crying, but he was laughing, and you can see only Phoenix could have pulled that off. Where you could tell he's crying, but he was laughing, and he couldn't help it. He was laughing in pain. And that was the best scene right there. That'll never be replicated again. That scene alone just puts not only the best Joker ever, but one of the best performances ever. And there's a reason why he won the Oscar for that. Right. I mean, that scene alone is just so powerful. It's gut wrenching. And like I said, I don't want to give this whole spoiler away, but when it's all revealed, you feel for him. This is a Joker. This version of the Joker, you feel for him. He's not justified of the stuff he does, but you feel for him, and it's awful. And only Phoenix could have pulled that off. And that laugh is just so haunting. And he he chokes when he's trying to stop and he can't help himself. It's just wow. If anyone, I mean, that's just my closing argument right there. No one else could have pulled that off. That's my closing argument.
Right. So let me ask you this too, because I watched that same scene and I love it as much as you do.
Yes.
I read that scene completely differently than you did. And so I don't know if I should even talk about it. I mean, the movie's been out for a while, but
it has. We're well over.
Let me see if I can word it in a way that it won't be a spoiler.
Go ahead.
Do you think that the information in that file is trustworthy? Because
that's one of the things I was talking about. You could debate if that, what really happened with Thomas Wayne and what was Arthur Fleck's mother. Yeah, it's debatable. I mean, So that's another thing. That's one other thing that's riveting about this movie is that's another, that's debatable. What really happened? Was that file even real? or was it really telling? Like, was that really what happened with his parents? So
right.
But yeah, it's such a powerful scene. It's gut wrenching. It really is gut wrenching.
It's a great scene. I'm with you on that one.
Yeah, I agree. I absolutely agree on that.
Yeah. So everybody that's in the chat, that's listening, that is watching, what do you guys think? Like, who's the better live action Joker? And we don't want to hear about Cesar Romero or Jack Nicholson or Dominic Monaghan or anybody else. We're just talking about these two. Out of these two performances, which do you think is the best one?
I know it's tough. I feel like it's like one of these situations here. It's like one of those things where a mobster comes into your house and he's got the gun pointed at your kids. Which one do you want to die first? Yeah. You know, this is what this situation feels like. But I had to pick Phoenix. It's a difficult choice, but I had to go with Phoenix.
Yeah, I'm with you.
So what do you guys want? Listen, like I said, who's your favorite Joker? Please let us know. Like, let us know. And what do you guys want us to debate next? And this is too much fun. Dion, you got any ideas, man?
Oh, yeah, right this moment, no. But you give me like 2 days, I'll have like 30.
No, because people are like, yo, debate best Batman. I'm like, wait, we agree on the Batman thing. Let's do the Joker.
Right.
Who's your guys' favorite Batman?
Affleck.
Ben Affleck, yeah.
Okay. I can dig that. All right, yeah. There's something about Bale and the gritting of the teeth that's a little too much for me. But
I mean, he's otherwise great. Like, I think like Christian Bale does a great Bruce Wayne, right?
Yes.
Like, I think that he's like a really good Bruce Wayne.
With that voice.
Whenever he has the mask on, he like suddenly has laryngitis, and I get the purpose behind that, but in the entire, like, there are various scenes in the trilogy where he's talking to somebody who knows who he is, but he still feels like he has to do that voice.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, so that was like one of the sticking points for me with him. And the other reason I like Affleck better is I think that he, out of everybody that's ever played Batman, in my opinion, I think that he's the only one that realizes that Bruce Wayne is the facade, that Bruce Wayne character, and that he really is Batman. Like, when he takes, like, when he's like by himself, he's Batman. He thinks like Batman. He talks like Batman. Bruce Wayne is the image for everybody else. I think Affleck is the only one that's really honestly translated that in a way that you understand that as a viewer.
And also he's like the Frank Miller Batman. All right. So let's get out of the cage and let's open up the floor. Here we go. So yes, if you guys I don't know, it's getting late, but you know what? This was so much fun, man. Dion, thanks for coming on. Let's open up the floor. So you guys got questions for us? Come on, let's go. Open floor time. The bar is open. Let's go.
Thank you guys so much. Oh, this is great.
All right, I'll open up the floor a little bit. So Dion, I was waiting. I was saving this question for you because of your show and your background. I would love to hear your take on this, and everyone can chime in, and then we can start really chatting up. Can we talk about the Ellen situation?
Sure we can.
No, for real. This is fascinating. This is fascinating to me. Because this woman, I never see. This is like a rise and fall, and it's just like, wow. I remember when she had her sitcom and she came out of the closet and they banned her, and then she had the guts to do her own show, and then she became the talk show host, and now all this stuff coming out, like, and now she's just like saying, now she's pretty much admitting like, oops, I probably shouldn't have done this. Maybe I should, you know. So I gotta ask you, man, what's your take on this whole Ellen situation?
I mean, what can you say? I'm not surprised. I kind of hate to say it. Like, well,
why are you not surprised?
It's one of those things. I have a friend who met. I always think of it like this. I have a friend who met. Okay, not Samuel L. Jackson, the other one. Someone help me here. The other black guy. Come on.
Wow, we'll be here all night.
Okay, the voice. You know, he's the voice. He has the best voice ever. He was in
Morgan Freeman.
Thank you
Morgan Freeman?
so much.
Okay.
Thank you so. My brain is so messed up. Anyway, like, he's this amazing actor. He's just lauded, and he's so celebrated. And I have this friend go, I met Morgan Freeman. I'm like, oh my God, really? She's like, yeah, he's the biggest shitbag I ever seen. I was like, like,
What?
That was her exact. I was like, excuse me. She goes, he was not a nice person because he was not. She goes, and she just kind of went through this whole laundry list of things, and I was like. And so, to me, it's kind of like not really surprised when you hear about someone who's like on, the facade of being this amazing person.
Right.
And then when you kind of get like, you just kind of get behind the door and you're like, oh, wait, you're not wonderful? No, I'm a millionaire. I can treat people how I want and I can do what I want. And people just kind of take it because I'm rich. And like, oh, okay. so that's kind of like what my view on it, really.
Yo, shout out to Paul Tackett. He has a really cool comment in here. He's saying that there was a scene in The Dark Knight where Ledger was supposedly torturing a nurse with a knife. Ooh,
I hadn't heard about that one.
Oh, that'd be interesting. Could have seen.
Yeah, that
Scott
would
Bannock,
be.
Bale was better.
Yeah.
Look, I'm just looking back at here. Ledger all the way.
Yeah, there's actually
Phoenix.
a lot. Yeah, there's a lot of comments here.
I'm sorry, that performance to me was just so and then the improvised clapping, those moments, like especially the scene where Batman's throwing them the beating and just kind of how like he reacts to it.
Yeah, you've got nothing to threaten me with, Yeah. and the little ticks, right? Like he had this tick where he would like lick his lips, like if you actually like I read somewhere where like the makeup was bothering his lips.
Yeah.
Like it was drying his lips out, so he kept licking his lips, and he just decided that, okay, this is going to be a tick that the character has.
Wow. Oh, that's so cool.
Tycho Beardo, would you be interested in doing a Resident Evil podcast? Hell yes, I would. I love Resident Evil.
So actually, I know that person, Tycho Beardo.
Yeah.
One, amazing musician. He does EDM music. Two, after listening to 2 episodes of his podcast, I now own I never played Resident Evil day of my life.
Oh,
so
what's the name of the podcast? I want to check it out.
Oh, it's a cafe. You gotta my memory's horrible, bro. You ask me questions.
Tycho Beardo, what's the name of your podcast? Let us know.
Yeah.
If you're still in here,
it's something diner or something cafe. It's like Jane's Diner, it's something like that. I'm assuming it's a reference to the game because it's about Resident Evil, and he's with this very lovely young lady, and they do. So I've actually listened to that podcast, and it's good stuff.
Our boy Fallen One Gaming's the biggest Resident Evil fan. Here,
cool.
The lovely Cindy Lou says, "What time is Dion's What day and time is your podcast?"
Normally it's Wednesday. I post on Wednesday.
Jill Sandwich Shop. That's the name of the podcast. Sorry.
Okay. Yes. Yeah. I was gonna say. I say cafe.
That's a good one. That's a good name. Wow. If anyone I'm sorry, that reference. Okay, it's an old joke. So the first Resident Evil game had terrible voice acting, and there's a scene in the game where the walls were gonna crush Jill, and then like one of the other cops was like, "You could have been a Jill sandwich." So that's where the reference is from. Good. That's a good title, man. Yo, my man right there.
Speaking of which, I need to reach out to either him or you because there's a point in the game where I'm completely stuck. So we need to talk at some point.
Okay, it's been a while.
So back to that question though, like Dion, when is your podcast?
Normally I drop on Wednesday, so this week's episode is going to drop on Saturday.
Okay,
nice. But normally it's Wednesday, and usually I mention it usually during the opening or the closing. But normally Wednesdays. And if you like Mark, I know you said you listened to some of the older episodes.
Right.
It's now the show is about an hour. I was very ambitious at the beginning, so now it's human size because the original episodes are super not intentional, but it was just kind of like sitting down.
You have fun and you just keep talking. Yeah. We get it. Trust us.
Absolutely. But thank you so much for asking. And so look out for it Saturday. Please subscribe. It's on all the apps. Apple. I use Stitcher. So Stitcher. It's on iHeartRadio. You can actually ask Alexa and Google to play it for you, and they'll play on both. So absolutely.
Excellent. All right, Come on. All right, the bar's still open for a little longer, guys. Come on. I know it's getting late, but hey, last call. Let's give us some questions. Anything. Ask Mark. Ask Dion. Ask me. Come on.
I'm gonna hit up Fallen One Gaming for sure too. Yeah. I need.
Oh yeah, dude. Listen, he's the biggest Resident Evil fan I know. Like he's my go-to. If I'm stuck, I call him.
Oh, cool. Okay, cool.
Dude,
I got you.
Yeah.
Because I've never played those types of games. I got a question.
Yeah.
Tell me about this. If you guys are familiar, it's The Last of Us. Is that the game?
I never played.
I've never played it either, but
it looks amazing.
I want to check it out.
Okay.
I at least want to watch the cutscenes from it, because I'm not a gamer, but like sometimes I'll get on YouTube and I'll watch like cutscenes from video games.
Okay.
So like I'd like to check that out.
Because I'm playing, like I said, I'm playing Resident Evil, but I'm playing Resident Evil 1. So the graphics are not the best. So it's kinda like, I'm like, I want to play one of those games that look so beautiful.
Yeah, but the remake's really good. You can still get the remake for like $20 on the Xbox shop or the PlayStation shop and on the Nintendo Switch shop. Tycho Beard also says, what's your favorite World War II movie? Oh, I'm going to go with Saving Private Ryan. What do you guys got?
Oh, wow. World War II. Man, there's so many good ones, dude.
I got a weird one. I'm going to go with Biloxi Blues.
Okay.
You ever seen that one?
I have. I've seen it.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, I've seen it.
Yes.
All right. I got to think about that one, man, because there's so many, like, really good ones.
That could be a rage topic.
Yeah, actually,
that could be a rage topic.
That's probably going to be our next one.
Yeah.
That's probably going to be our next one.
Art Terra says, what's your next episode going to be about, Dion?
You know what? Honestly, it's likely going to be about mental health.
Very good.
So the reason that I haven't posted, I was supposed to post the episode last week, did not. Should have recorded and posted one today, did not. It's hard to make statements like this.
Yeah.
But my mental health has been precarious over the last couple of weeks, just dealing with quarantine. So for example, I actually have been going into work, even though I'm supposed to be working from home for the rest of the year. Mm-hmm. It just gives me some sense of normalcy. I live alone, I live in a little box. I have one window, and so it's
same with me, man. I live in the broom closet, dude.
Okay, it's been really tough. So I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna be very honest and be like, here's why I've not posted. Here's some resources, and kind of just talk about that. Also, Chicago right now, the census is going on. We're only at a 54% response rate. Yeah. So, going to kind of talk about that a little bit, just like some of those things. And then after that, I have this really, really smart dude that I've known for many years, but I always say he's a genius because I've been told that by other people. They're like, he's a genius.
I feel stupid because I'm looking at our screen right now. I didn't realize I put Chicago, New York instead of Chicago, Illinois. So I apologize for the typo.
That's cool, bro.
I feel stupid. I'm looking at it. I'm like, wait a minute. I'm like looking at the chat, and then I look over. I'm like, oh. I did a typo.
Not from right. Everybody.
I think everybody knows where Chicago is. So
that's why my show exists. Everybody wants to claim us.
Scott Bannock, Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade was the best World War II movie. That's one of my favorite Indiana Jones movies.
No, I did see Paul Tackett's Saving Private Ryan.
Yeah.
I feel like that movie is in such a category by itself for so many reasons.
Yeah,
that's tough.
That beach scene. Oh my god, that opening scene.
Yes. Is that based off a book or is that just a movie? Does anyone know?
Based off of a true story.
Based off a true story. Yeah.
Really? Mm-hmm. I need to read that. Okay, that's winter, right? I'm already getting ready for winter. So winter reading list.
Yep.
Thank you.
Everyone's talking. They're excited to hear your next episode. So I think in times like this, we all need to listen. So
Yeah, I highly recommend everybody tune in to his podcast. It's really one of the best ones out there. It's great.
I appreciate you guys so much.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you. Peace in Chicago.
Yeah, that's true.
I should have just kept my mouth shut, but I was like, you know what? Someone's gonna point it out at some point.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, something that no one has probably thought to do is like fold over deep dish pizza.
That'd be a mess.
That would be incredible.
I'll pass. I'll so pass.
All right. How do you guys feel? Let's see. Hold on. What shampoo did you use today? What shampoo did you use today, Dion?
Okay, so real quick, Cindy's making reference to.
You told me this story.
Because I do Facebook Lives, and normally I do them every day. Like this past week, I've done maybe 2. Mental health, precarious, things. So I'm growing my hair out for the first time in 20 years. And I took a shower this morning. I used Maui here it is. Actually, because I have the moisturizer. So it's Maui Moisture.
Product placement alert.
I'm sorry.
No,
but
you're
Maui
good.
Moisture.
You're good. I'm just messing.
Shampoo. I use Maui Moisture body wash, and I use all their moisturizers. I'm learning, and it's funny because I get hair care tips from I have a 14-year-old daughter. I have twins, and so they have this beautiful natural hair. So I actually get hair care tips from them. But I wash my hair. I dried it. I put this hat on. Go to work. About noon, I'm like, oh, let me take the hat off. I'm gonna go grab lunch. If I take this thing off, I look like Al Sharpton. My hair has laid back and is like, it looks like I have a perm. I have no idea how this happened. So I was talking about it on Facebook, and I'm like, yo, y'all can't even. But I did actually later today post a picture, and I posted a little video so you can see it. But it's weird. It looks like I look like Al Sharpton. Like I see how like it's all slicked back. It's not cool. But it's a learning process.
Yeah.
So Maui Moisture is the best. The best shampoo. You can use it on all types of hair, but I have really curly, thick hair, so it works.
Right on.
That's so weird.
So we're gonna plug in one last thing before we go here. So again, Chicago related. So I have to ask you. So Dion, Mark told me you're a big MMA guy and martial arts guy. Of course, I'm sure you already know that Daniel Pesina is going to be coming on our show real soon, in a couple weeks, actually, 2 weeks from today. So, have you met Danny, or have you interacted with him?
No, never.
Wow, okay.
No, never. No.
Yeah, he's a Chicago guy, so I wasn't sure if you had actually met him before. He's my old seafood from when I lived there.
Oh, that's amazing. Okay, cool. Yeah. Okay. You know what? Outside of, because I do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Outside of that, like I've met Hoist Gracie. I've met, I've met some
legends.
Really interesting. Yes.
Yeah.
Outside of that, I have a training partner, and it's funny because if you ask him, he's a black belt, and so his name's John Fonseca, and he'll say, "I'm a black belt." And he owns some schools. And I'm like, okay. And then, one day I hear that he's in the Black Belt Magazine Hall of Fame. And so I'm like, I think you're more than just a black belt. He's like, I think I won a world like a European championship or, something like that. I'm like, and then it turns out that his wife is also one of the biggest female competitors ever in karate. Wow. And so, then I look her up one day and I'm like, and so I've met him. That's extent outside of BJJ is meeting John Fonseca and his wife, who's
your favorite martial arts movie star?
Ooh, did you guys just talk about this recently? Oh no, you brought it up that you're gonna kind of debate between Steven Seagal and somebody else. I'm sorry, Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Okay, Jean-Claude Van Damme. Okay,
he's the stuff.
Mine's Jackie Chan. Jackie Chan's my hero.
Okay, yeah. And of course, I still say Jean-Claude Van Damme, but then of course, I still have yet to see
Bloodsport, man.
The Bruce Lee documentary.
Be Like Water.
Yeah. I haven't seen it yet, but obviously he set the bars for everything, I think. But I still even still today, if I saw Jean-Claude Van Damme on the street, I would kind of like I said, or I would hump his leg. I would just be like, grab on. He was like, I'm gonna beat this dude to death. He didn't get off me. I'd be like, I love you.
Right. So, hey, Paul Tackett's got a good question for all of us. Your favorite comic book store, Dion? Do you know good comic book stores in Chicago?
I got two.
Okay.
Chicago Comics.
Yes.
On Clark Street.
Yes.
That place has been like my doorway to so many things. Every time I go in there, I spend at least $40 and I walk out with so much stuff. I've never, and most interestingly, I've never walked out with a comic book.
I'm adding that place to my list next time I'm in Chicago. When I go to Chicago next year, I'm adding it to my list.
Oh, yes. Yeah. And then Graham Crackers.
Graham Crackers is awesome, too.
Who have multiple locations. I usually go to the one downtown. They're so pleasant. They're so nice. And they're, those, and I think you were mentioning this when you guys were talking about comic book stores last time.
Yep.
They'll educate you, on kind of anything, and talk. And they also have some great figurines. They have a great book section, a huge game section. So I love that store too.
Good to know.
Awesome.
Tycho Beardo, do you have a favorite convention? G-Fest is mine. What's yours, Dion?
I've only ever been to one, and that was Chicago Comic Con.
Nice. Ooh,
that was this year, and I actually did an episode about that. I loved it. I loved it way more than I thought I was gonna love it. I was in there like, okay, I'm an adult. I'm gonna do this, and then like 3 hours later, I'm running behind the children, like, where are we going? Where are we going? And so I had a great time. So yeah.
Mark,
awesome.
you've been to a bunch of them. Mark, which one would you choose?
I would say Chicago Comic-Con also.
Okay.
So much fun.
Yeah, I went to Chicago Comic-Con I think in 2005 or 2006, and a highlight of that one for me was I got to meet Shinichiro Watanabe, who developed Cowboy Bebop.
Oh, okay.
And so like I got to like meet him and ask him a bunch of questions about the series and like what he was working on next and stuff. And he gave me I actually had a DVD of another series that he worked on called Wolf's Rain, and I had him autograph that. I still have it, like, you know, I have it like it's a centerpiece in my like collection of nerd stuff. So yeah.
Just funny enough, at the Chicago Comic-Con this year, I learned a very valuable lesson. And so I didn't see much about it, but like one of the centerpiece presentations was a discussion with the cast of Umbrella Academy. And I learned a very valuable lesson that if you don't show up 3 hours early, you're not going to get a seat.
You're not getting in.
I showed up like an hour and a half early, like, oh,
right.
They were like, yo, man, you can go to the overfill room, which was full. And then there was a third room. They're like, we got a screen back there. Go find the screen. So, yeah, really cool. What's yours? I'm sorry, Jason.
Well, for me, the ones I've been to, definitely G-Fest, because knowing that my fellow Godzilla fans, knowing that I'm not alone and being around a whole bunch of 3,000 plus Godzilla fans was it was a lot, and it was in Chicago too, so I loved it. Now as far as like, you know, there's, you know, Syracuse has a Comic-Con, Retro Game Con. That's how I met Danny Pacina. But as far as I really want to go to New York City Comic-Con. That's the one I really want to go to.
Yeah.
But again, that one's just as big as San Diego Comic-Con, so that might be a little much. The convention's that big, might be a little much, and so yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to
No,
interrupt.
go ahead.
No, you weren't.
I was just gonna say, if you guys make it, if you should ever make it back to Chicago, one thing, the reason I actually went to the Comic-Con this year is because they actually had like some events for podcasters. So
really?
I went to a podcast meet and greet, but they also had like slots to sign up for, prior to, where they were allowing podcasts to do live presentations. So if you guys ever make it back, you guys are made for that joint.
Okay.
You guys are so made for that joint. Like, I'm just like, yo, sign up, get there.
Awesome.
Do that live, baby.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, well.
Yeah, thanks for
Paul,
letting us know about that.
Paul, thank you for coming in again. But Paul also says New Jersey has Chiller. Now that could be a good one, because I've been to horror conventions up in the Syracuse area. I can't think of the name of the one that we had at Turning Stone. What the hell was the name of the Scaricon? I think it was called Scaricon. At Turning Stone was a lot of fun. I met Linda Blair. I also met the chick from Human Centipede. So I had some happy memories there.
Very cool.
Oh, and then the dude from the Candyman, who actually ran into in the bathroom of all places. Oh, dude, everybody was laughing like, "Oh my God, it's Candyman in the bathroom. There's Candyman." But yeah, Scaracon's really awesome. But yeah, Chiller in New Jersey, that might be a good one, because that's probably one of the major horror conventions. I don't know if you, Dion, are you a horror guy or?
I enjoy. I'm not super engrossed.
Someone tells me you're scared of horror movies. I knew it. I could smell it on you.
Actually, the last horror movie I went to a movie theater to see, I think was it Paranormal? One of those paranormal
activity
ones.
Yeah.
And I felt so bad because I was there with a girl, so I'm trying to like, okay, hold it together, bro. And then I was next to this kid who was on a date. So he was like 17, maybe 16, like high schooler. And he was curled up in his seat in a ball, like holding his own knees. And he was like shaking. I was like, oh, I'm so sorry for you, bro. I'm so sorry. And I'm not coming back to one of these movies, but I think it was my second thought. But yeah.
Oh, wow.
But yeah.
So am I alone in being excited about the new Candyman movie?
No, I'm stoked for it. That was one of my most anticipated shows.
Stoked for that.
Yeah, so that one's got the Halloween release date, because the Halloween Kills, the sequel to the previous Halloween movie, got bumped to next year. So Candyman took the Halloween spot.
Took that spot.
Yeah. Oh, I can't wait. I cannot wait. That's gonna be good.
Is that supposed to be a theater release, or
yes.
What are we doing here?
Yep.
Okay.
As far as we know, yeah, but obviously that could change real quick.
So that's like sort of in parentheses, or an asterisk, like it's probably going to come out.
Once again, I'll pay $30 for it though. I want to see it. I think it'll be great. Yeah, but I don't know if we're gonna be in movie theaters by then.
I said in the last episode that we did, because we talked about delays and stuff like that. I honestly just think that like 2020 is a complete wash.
Mm-hmm.
Like, don't set release dates before January of next year. Like, it's very unlikely we're gonna be open as far as like movie theaters. And then when they do open, people are gonna be incredibly reticent, like, to go. Like, we're talking probably 50% capacity. So like, I would just wait. Just set everything for next year.
Yeah.
Clear the board. Just start
2020 canceled.
Canceled,
big red stamp canceled. Move on.
But I would totally be okay paying $30 to see that. Like, I'll kick in. I would totally kick in for that.
Yeah, invite some friends over. Make them drop like $10 or bring food or something.
Right, then that's how you do it.
Yeah,
that's really how you do it. It's just like you do a watch party or something. And
so Ryan Baker, I know you got Disney Plus, man. If you want to order Mulan, I'll come over. I'll spot you $10. I'll bring wings.
Bring some drinks. Let's do this.
Cat F, the new Candyman's going to talk a lot about how Chicago has changed since the original. Dion, it should be pretty interesting.
Yeah, because there's no Cabrini Greenie anymore, right? Like, that's pretty much.
It's funny, actually. I was over there maybe 3 weeks ago. If you're familiar with Cabrini, it was the huge high rises, and then there were the row houses. So if you guys, I would even look it up on Google Maps because you can see it on there.
Mm-hmm.
The row houses are still. There's one side of the street that is still inhabited. There people live there. The other side of the street is actually blocked off with 10-foot fences, and it looks like something out of Russia because the windows have all been punched out, and it literally looks like something from like Chernobyl, right across the street. And so you have parked cars and kids and families, and then he's like, it just looks like some kind of weird, like, isolated place, but it's literally on the other side of the street. The tall towers are all long gone.
Wow.
And so, now you walk like 3 blocks because that was at one point, like, I think at one point it was one of the poorest places in the world, right?
Yeah.
And then you walk 3 blocks away and there's a Starbucks. So
the restaurant that I used to work at, I used to deliver food for like a hamburger place. Yeah. And it was literally like 3 blocks away from the old Cabrini Greens. So. Yeah.
Which and I don't know if you ever been there, Jay, like, to put in reference from like bustling downtown, you're talking like 2 miles at most. Yeah. Like, it's right there. It's next to like extreme, opulence and wealth. And then just like...
Yeah, because I take the train from Syracuse to Chicago, and so I come right out of the train station, so I'm like, I'm right in downtown every time I arrive, so...
Yeah. Cabrini is from there, from like downtown is maybe 4 miles. It's
okay. So that's just an Uber away.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So listen, it's getting close. It's about 9:30. We're gonna wrap this up. So I have one important question to ask directly to Dion, man. Dude, thank you for coming on, and would you like to come back?
Oh, as if that's a question. Anytime.
All right. Yeah, because everyone's having a blast. Everyone's having fun.
Here, man.
Yes, and you guys are always welcome on my. I know I've had Mark, Jay, I haven't had you, but you are welcome to come on, and we could talk about any and everything.
Okay.
We can talk about your visits to Chicago, just like anything.
Because I've been to Chicago a number of times, so I'd love to be like the tourist guest, and what I love when I'm there. So I'd love to come on, and I'd like to bring Mark with me, so I'm not like
that would be fun.
That'd be perfect. I'm a huge fan of you guys. I appreciate you.
Thanks. We're a fan of you too,
man. Love
this.
And dude, we definitely will interact.
Okay,
for sure.
Now we'll give you 1 minute here. Do you want to just remind our audience where they can find you on Twitter and your podcast and everything, real quick?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much. It's Off the Beaten Podcast. You can check me out on. I got Instagram, I got Twitter, got a Facebook page. You can just search Off the Beaten Podcast. It'll pop up. Fortunately, you can go to the podcast webpage if you really want to, and it's Dion Dion McGill McGill.podbean.com.
Yeah, there's his logo. I just want to point out there's his logo. So if you look for that logo right there.
Yeah, and then if you go into your podcast apps, it's Apple, Stitcher, Spotify, it's there. There's anywhere you're gonna find the NerdCage for sure, including YouTube. Although I don't.
Yeah, we have you guys. Yeah, I was gonna say on the main page of NerdCage, you're one of the channels listed on our alliances. So that's another way you can find.
Thank you so much.
Oh, look, before we go, my mother. Oh my God, my mother just dropped a line. Dion, just put your hands in front of your face for a scary movie. Mom, thanks for finally leaving a comment. The lovely Martha St. G, thank you for stopping in.
Thank you
I'm
so
a mama's
much.
boy.
Oh no, that's great, man. No, she could tell I do this a lot. Oh yeah. What's going on?
Okay, all right. So, before we go, let's just real quick again. We just want to remind our audience exactly 2 weeks from tonight, we're gonna have our next, special guest here, Danny Pacina, from one of the creators of Mortal Kombat, the original Johnny Cage, the original Scorpion, the original Sub-Zero, and Reptile, martial arts superstar around the world, fight choreographer. We are so excited to have him on 2 weeks from tonight. We really encourage everyone to be there. We cannot wait. Childhood dream come true for me. I grew up on Mortal Kombat since I was 5, and look how good I turned out. But yes, we are so looking forward to having Danny Pacina, and we will have Dion back on the show. My goodness, this has been a blast. Holy smokes. And we're so close to 100 subscribers, so subscribe to us if you haven't already. We're so close to 100.
Yes. Thank you guys so much. I
Thank
can't
you.
think enough.
This has been way too much fun, man. Way too much fun. And everybody else who came on the chat, I see some names I've never even seen before, and some names I've seen from other channels. Thank you for popping in. It means the world to us. We are working hard every day on the show to make it better and all the content. Thank you for all the support, everybody. It means a lot. It really does. It really does, man. Mark, anything to add to that before we wrap it up?
You pretty much summed it up, man. Again, thank you for, thanks Dion for being on the podcast. I mean, for being on this live stream. I had so much fun on yours that we had to get you on ours. So thank you for making the time, and thanks to everybody that's in the chat that kind of showed up for us and it's kind of helped to make this hour, or I guess an hour and a half now, make it as much fun as it's been.
Yeah, absolutely.
This has been a really great episode here.
Thank you, everyone.
Yes. All right, so before we go, we ask you to pretty please like, comment, subscribe, and ring that bell and spread this shit like syphilis. So to you, I say, from Louisville to Syracuse to Chicago to all of our friends and fans around the world at NerdCage Live and Off the Beaten Podcast, enjoy life, stay safe, and good night.
Sayonara.
Ooh, trying to get out of the NerdCage, are ya? Well, before you go, hit that subscribe button. And if you're really intrigued, ring that bell. Thank you for dropping by. Until next time, tell everyone you know about NerdCage Live!
Oh yeah!